The economic data has been good. The question is, can it continue? Is this kind of a one-off type economic event based on what we're seeing out of China and the fears that we're going to get? Was all of this buying done beforehand? Was all this data built up in expectations of a trade war? But I certainly think this market is built on momentum right now. There are certain stocks that are taking us to these highs. We were worried about 6 stocks trading us to highs for so long. Now it's 2 or 3 names, Apple and Amazon, for example. But you have to trade that momentum. Oil is a really perfect example about the momentum. It really, at 74, it topped out. We thought it was going to 80, went back to 65. Everyone hated it at 65. Now it's back over 70 again. So if you're a trader in this market, you really want to trade this momentum that's out there.
Yeah, let's talk about the tech momentum that's there, Victoria. We mentioned Apple and Amazon a lot, but Google parent Alphabet and Microsoft are not far behind. They're in the $900 billion mode. Is this still the place you want to be in this market? It's worked for so many years of the bull run. Still the case?
It really has, and long-term tech is always a good place to be, but I don't think you necessarily have to chase some of these larger names. We do have a position in Apple, and we intend on keeping that, but we're also looking at other names within the tech sector. So recently, we bought Palo Alto and some other names that maybe you can find some value in the tech sector, but not the big 4 names, but it's definitely a good long-term play to have the sector within your portfolio.
Rick, if we look at August performance, the US was really a standout in terms of equity market performance compared to the rest of the world. When you look at the fundamental data, more of which came out this morning, is that justified, do you think?
Oh, absolutely. That ISM number this morning was only 0.2 away from being the best number in 35 years. As it stood, it was the best number in 14 years. And the problem with having a condition where you're the standout economy in a globe that's in positive territory but not accelerating like the U.S. is most analysts are going to recommend investments outside the U.S. Why? Because the numbers show more promise because they're not doing as well. It's a form of logic I never quite understood. It's normally applied to emerging markets in a big way. Yeah, after they have issues and they get beaten back, chances are if they get back and mean revert, you're going to make a lot of money. That dynamic can have a bit of danger attached to it. To me, the U.S., outside of the trade issues that Matt brought up, really is looking very favorable. The dollar index today, Wolf, if you just ignore August because of all the volatility for reasons like emerging markets, we would be at the highest level. The dollar index really is holding exactly where it needs to and rallying off of good support. I think everything is still pretty much all green.
And to that point, the Atlanta Fed put out its latest GDP tracking model for the 3rd quarter. 4.7%. That's a strong number, Matt. Is that factored into this market in terms of expectations for this quarter's growth?
I'm not sure that's factored in quite yet, but the number was impressive, over 4%. Now we're talking 4.7. So it definitely shows the U.S. economy is leading, and that's what this market wanted to see. Where can you put your money safely, and where can you invest it? It's in the U.S., and clearly the numbers show it.
Victoria, clearly China and trade is a risk to the market, as previously mentioned. What about domestic politics? Do you think we take a pause in terms of this momentum as we approach the midterms?
Traditionally, the quarters leading up to the midterm elections are down quarters. We haven't seen that this year at all. We're up, 8-9% on the S&P. So we haven't really followed that rule, and we would normally have a really strong 4th quarter. So maybe we take a pause a little bit. I think we'll be really driven by headlines, especially this week now that we have earnings over. We've got the Kavanaugh hearings going on. We have talks with Canada starting again tomorrow. So they're definitely going to take center stage as far as headlines go. But as everyone else has said, the fundamentals that are driving this market are strong. We have a wind to our back here, and so I think we'll continue to do well the rest of the year.